A strange message traveled through space. It was full of static and fear. The voice was weak, shaky, and not human. It said, "To anyone who hears us, help us. We are dying. We are being hunted. Please, we beg for aid." Earth's computers worked for days to understand the alien language. The message had come from a faraway planet called Varix 9. It wasn't just any planet. It was known as a death world, a planet so dangerous that no one ever went there. Everything on it could kill: the air, the animals, the plants, even the weather. Varix 9 was full of deadly life and strange things no one could explain. Many believed it was cursed, but humans are different. They don't always play it safe. They get curious. And sometimes they do things that don't make sense to others. One of those humans was Commander Ryan Holt. He was a soldier, strong and quiet, with scars on his face and stories in his eyes. He had fought in wars across the stars and survived things others could not. When Earth received the alien message, most people said, "Let it go. Too dangerous." But Ryan said, "I'll go." He didn't know why. Maybe it was the fear in that voice. Maybe it was the challenge. Maybe he just wanted to matter again. He climbed into a metal pod, a small ship, just big enough for one person, and launched into the dark. The trip was long and cold. As he neared Varix 9, his screens lit up with warnings. Dangerous storms, unstable gravity, high radiation. Ryan just smiled. "Seen worse," he said. The pod hit the surface hard, shaking like a bullet in a bottle. Sand and fire flew into the air as the pod carved a hole into the planet's crust. Then silence. Ryan stepped out, his boots sinking into red sand. The ground cracked with every step. Jagged rocks stabbed upward like knives. The sky was green and boiling, like it was always storming. Sharp winds carried dust and spores that glowed faintly in the dark. Strange shapes moved. In the distance, too fast to see clearly. The planet was alive. And it hated visitors. He held his gun tightly and turned on his helmet lights. His armor, thick and battle-worn, hissed as it sealed against the toxic air. "No signs of life," he muttered, checking his scanner. So where did the message come from? Then he saw it. A tall, broken tower stood half buried in a pit of sand and bones. It glowed softly, blue lights pulsing like a heartbeat. It didn't look human, but it also didn't match any known alien tech. Ryan approached slowly, gun raised. He circled the base. Vines covered most of it, but he found a crack wide enough to slip through. As he stepped inside, the light grew brighter. Strange symbols covered the walls, and the air felt colder. Like the tower was pulling an energy dot suddenly, screams echoed from above. Ryan froze. These weren't alien screams. They were human. His heart raced. That wasn't possible. No humans were on this planet, at least none that Earth had sent. He rushed up a metal staircase, footsteps echoing in the silence. The screams got louder. They were mixed with strange buzzing sounds like metal rubbing on metal. He reached a wide room. His eyes widened. The walls were lined with strange pods, glass containers full of green liquid. Inside the pods were people, human bodies floating lifelessly. Some were missing arms or legs. Some had strange machines fused into their skin. Others looked peaceful, like they were dreaming. One of the pods made a soft hiss. It opened slowly. A pale hand reached out, shaking, then a face. A man, eyes wide, lips trembling. He looked at Ryan and whispered, "Help." Before Ryan could move, he heard a sharp screech from the ceiling. He looked up and saw something horrible. A creature dropped down. It had long, thin arms with claws, and its body was made of bones and black muscle. Tentacles writhed on its back, twitching in the air. Its head had no eyes, just a wide, sharp mouth that clicked open. Ryan didn't wait. He fired. The bullets tore into the creature. It screamed and exploded into black acid that hissed as it hit the floor, but more noise came from the walls. Ryan turned and saw 4 more creatures crawling out of vents and cracks. Bigger, faster, angrier. He grabbed the weak man from the pod and ran, dodging sharp claws and snapping jaws. A stinger missed his face by inches. He fired behind him as he reached a steel door and smashed a control panel. The door slammed shut just as the monsters crashed against it, breathing hard. Ryan looked around. He wasn't in a tower. The metal around him was curved and smooth. Lights blinked in strange patterns. His scanner beeped and showed a large shape beneath the ground. Then the truth hit him. This wasn't a building. It was a crashed alien ship. And the message they'd sent, the plea for help, was not a rescue call. It was a trap. They had used human bodies to send the signal, to bring more people here. Ryan looked at the weak man in his arms, now unconscious. He tightened his grip on his weapon. Something was very wrong. And he wasn't alone. Commander Ryan Holt stood in the dark hallway, holding the half-conscious man he had just pulled from the strange pod. The heavy metal door behind him shook as something slammed against it, over and over again. He could still hear the hissing and screeching of the creatures on the other side. They were fast, angry, and didn't seem to care about pain. They weren't hunting for food. They were hunting for something else, maybe for him. Ryan adjusted the man's weight on his shoulder and moved forward, his boots echoing on the steel floor. Lights flickered. The place smelled like rust, oil, and something rotten. The ship, yes, it was definitely a ship now, groaned around him like it was still alive. Ryan walked carefully, gun ready. Every corner felt like a trap. Every shadow looked like it could move. The man he carried was shaking, skin pale and cold. Ryan checked him for wounds. He had small holes in his neck, like something had been connected to him, feeding off him. Or maybe controlling him. Ryan didn't like that thought. He'd seen a lot in war, but this was different. This was evil. The hallway opened into a large room. There were more pods, more bodies. Some were human. Some were not. Alien shapes floated in the green liquid, thin, with long arms and sharp faces. Many had wires going into their heads. Ryan realized they weren't just storing people here. They were using them, maybe for experiments. Or worse. As he walked deeper into the room, a screen on the wall blinked. It turned on by itself. Static filled the screen, then a face appeared. It wasn't a normal face. It was a mix of metal and flesh, covered in black slime. Its eyes were empty holes. And when it opened its mouth, its voice came out like a broken machine. Human. You came just like the others. Ryan aimed his gun at the screen. Who are you? He demanded. The voice answered slowly, each word sounding wrong. We were many, now we are one. We feed, we learn, we become more. The signal called you. You heard, you obeyed. Ryan's heart pounded. They didn't just trap humans. They were studying them, learning from them, becoming like them. The screen shut off. Then something growled behind him. Ryan spun around just in time to see a creature leap from the ceiling. This one was different. It was armored, with silver plates on its back and glowing red eyes. It moved fast, faster than anything he'd seen. Ryan dropped the injured man and fired. The creature dodged left, then right, and slammed into him. His armor took the hit, but he crashed into a wall, stars in his eyes. He gritted his teeth and rolled, shooting again. This time, his bullets found their mark. The creature's chest exploded in black mist. It screamed and twitched before falling over, dead. Acid hissed around it, eating through the floor. Ryan didn't stop. He pulled the man back onto his shoulder and ran through a broken door at the back of the room. He needed to get out of the ship now. He reached a ramp leading outside. A burst of wind hit him in the face. The storm had gotten worse. Purple lightning flashed in the sky, and the ground shook under his feet. As he stepped outside, he finally saw it, the full size of the crashed ship. It was huge, like a floating city buried under sand and rock. Black vines wrapped around its surface. Holes in the hull glowed green. Ryan turned on his scanner. A signal pinged nearby. A power source, maybe help. He followed it into the mountains. Hours passed. He climbed over cliffs, crossed rivers of boiling mud, and dodged flying creatures with knife-like wings. The weak man woke a few times, mumbling strange words in a language Ryan didn't understand. Each time, his eyes rolled back in his head. Finally, Ryan saw it. A city hidden between the peaks. Tall black spires rose into the sky, surrounded by a glowing shield. Lights flickered inside. It wasn't human. It wasn't broken. It was alive. Ryan approached the shield. A door opened with a soft hum. He stepped inside and was met by them. The aliens who had sent the message. They were tall, thin, and wore dark robes. Their skin was smooth, their eyes large and glowing. They looked sad, tired. Their leader stepped forward. His name was Velshar. You came, Velshar. Sighed. We prayed someone would. Ryan looked around. Why did you send the message? Why trap humans? Velshar bowed his head. We didn't. The message was real. We begged for help, but something else used our signal. Something evil. The creatures, they came from the stars. They attacked us first. Then they took your people, turned them into beacons. We tried to fight, but we are dying. Ryan didn't know if he could trust them. But everything he'd seen, the ship, the monsters, the pods, matched their story. Just then, alarms went off. Red. Lights flashed. Screams echoed. The shield was breaking. Velshar turned to Ryan and held out a glowing cube. This is our last weapon, he said. It needs a mind shaped for war. One that survives against all odds. Ryan took the cube. It was warm in his hand. It hummed with strange energy. I'm human, he said. That's our specialty. As he spoke, the cube lit up and floated above his palm. Then a voice spoke from inside the cube, not alien. It spoke perfect English. Weapon unlocked. Initiating full war protocol. Ryan's eyes widened. He didn't know what the cube would do next. But he knew this fight had only just begun. Asterisk Commander Ryan Holt stood in the middle of the alien city, holding the glowing cube. The wind howled outside, but inside the shielded city, everything was calm. The air was clean, the lights soft, and the buildings tall and dark like towers from an old dream. Strange symbols floated above doorways. The cube in Ryan's hand pulsed, with light, as if it was alive and watching everything. The alien leader, Velshar, stood beside him, tall and calm, his long robes moving gently in the breeze. His glowing eyes stared at the cube with quiet fear. "You were chosen," Velshar said softly. "The cube responds only to minds made for war. To survive the enemy, you must become more than human." Ryan didn't know what that meant, but he felt the power in the cube. It was old and strong. It made his armor feel heavier, his skin feel warmer. Something inside it was waking up, something built to destroy. They walked through the city together. Ryan saw more of Velshar's people, tall, thin, and tired. Some sat quietly with their heads bowed. Others watched him with wide, hopeful eyes. It hit him then. These aliens were not the enemy. They were victims, just like the humans, who had been trapped in the pods. Velshar explained the truth as they walked. Long ago, his people were explorers. They traveled to new planets to study life and share knowledge. Then they found something they were never meant to find. A black egg floating in deep space, surrounded by dead stars. When they brought it back to study, it broke open. A creature came out. It didn't just kill, it took. It infected minds, twisted bodies, and turned the dead into living weapons. It spread like fire, jumping from world to world. They called it the swarm mind. It couldn't be reasoned with. It didn't want peace. It only wanted to consume and grow. The swarm reached Earth's sector years ago. It sent small ships, scouts, to find strong species. It learned that humans were tough, clever, and dangerous when angry, so the swarm set a trap. It infected the crashed alien ship and used human bodies to send the false distress signal. It knew someone would come, and someone did. Ryan.vel single quotes SHAAR stopped at a wide balcony that looked out across the valley. The shield shimmered above them like a bubble. In the distance, mountains moved. Not rocks, creatures, huge ones, marched toward the city like a black wave, their bodies covered in spikes and glowing red eyes. Some crawled, some flew. Others were part machine, with sharp limbs and metal plates. The ground shook under them. Ryan clenched his jaw. "They're coming fast," Velshar nodded. "The shield will not hold much longer." The cube in Ryan's hand buzzed louder. Light spun across its surface. Then it spoke again, calm and clear. "Full war protocol engaged. Human combat DNA confirmed. Battle enhancements unlocked." The cube floated into the air. Light wrapped around Ryan's armor. Metal shifted. Weapons formed on his arms and shoulders. His helmet locked into place, showing hundreds of targets on his screen. New power flooded his body. It felt like fire and ice, like his blood was replaced with lightning. His feet lifted off the ground. He wasn't just a soldier now. He was a weapon. Ryan launched into the air, firing lasers and missiles. Alien warriors below screamed and cheered, following him into battle. The first wave of swarm monsters hit the shield and burst into black smoke. Then more came, thousands of them. They crawled over each other, howling and screeching. The shield flickered. Then it broke. The monsters flooded in. Ryan dropped into the middle of them, blasting in all directions. Every move he made was faster, stronger, smarter. He dodged claws and biters. He crushed the machines with his fists. His HUD marked weak points. Every shot hit. Every blast counted, but the swarm didn't stop. For every creature he killed, 10 more replaced it. Behind him, the alien warriors fought bravely, using glowing blades and energy rifles. They held the line, but they were outnumbered. The city burned. Buildings fell. Screams echoed through the air. Then the ground split open. A new shape rose from the earth, huge, tall as a tower. The Hive Queen. Her body was a mix of bone and metal. Her face was like a skull, with wires for hair and fire in her mouth. Her voice didn't come from her mouth. It came inside Ryan's head. You are strong for a little creature, but you are alone. You will fall like the others. Ryan shook his head. No, he said out loud. I'm not alone. Just then, a sound filled the sky, a roar louder than thunder. Ryan looked up. The clouds above the city burst open. Human ships dropped through the clouds, black and fast, guns glowing. Soldiers in armored suits flew down like comets, landing hard and ready. Earth had heard the message too. And this time, they didn't send one man. They sent an army. Ryan laughed, eyes glowing behind his visor. The Hive Queen turned to face the sky, her screech filled with fear. A voice rang from one of the ships. We heard someone begged for help. That was your first mistake. The sky turned red with fire. The battle had truly begun, and humanity had just arrived. The sky burned above Varex 9. Earth's warships tore through the clouds, dropping thousands of soldiers into the dying alien city. Flames, dust, and smoke filled the air. The swarm screamed as they charged, but now they didn't face one man. They faced an army of humans ready to fight. Commander Ryan Holt stood in the middle of it all, glowing with power from the alien tube. His armor was stronger, faster, alive with energy. His body felt like a storm. He was no longer just human. He was something more, something made for war. The Hive Queen roared as the humans landed around her. Her body shifted and cracked, metal plates opening to reveal spinning weapons and long claws. She towered over the battlefield like a living fortress. From her back, hundreds of smaller swarm creatures launched into the sky, flying like insects, shrieking with fury. They hit the human troops fast, but the humans fought back harder. Rockets and lasers filled the air. Bullets tore through black flesh. Explosions lit up the dark. The ground shook with every step, every scream, every blast. Ryan moved like lightning, leading the charge. He smashed through a line of creatures with his fists, crushed another under his boot, then flew up, and sliced the wings off a flyer with one clean shot. He wasn't alone. The alien warriors fought beside the humans, their glowing blades flashing through the smoke. Velshar led them with fierce strength, his robe stained with blood and ash all around them. The last city of the aliens burned. Towers collapsed. The shield was gone. The ground cracked as more of the swarm rose from underground. The black wave was endless. It didn't stop. It didn't slow. It was a storm of teeth, claws, and death. But the humans didn't stop either. They fought harder, smarter, together. Ryan saw soldiers he didn't know, men and women from Earth, covering each other, helping the wounded and pushing forward with fire in their eyes. Every time one fell, 3 more stepped up. This wasn't just a rescue mission anymore. It was a war for survival. And humans had never lost one of those without making it hurt. As the battle raged, the cube floating above Ryan's shoulder blinked faster. Final protocol unlocked, it said. Core strike option available. What does that mean? Ryan asked. We can destroy the swarm completely, the cube answered, but it will cost everything. Ryan paused. What do you mean, everything? The cube explained in a calm voice. The swarm had a central mind, a heart deep under the ground, under the city. That heart controlled them all. If it was destroyed, the whole hive would die. But to reach it, someone had to go alone, deep into the tunnels, past all defenses, past the queen, past the worst monsters. The cube could turn Ryan into a living bomb, a final weapon. He would not come back. Ryan looked around at the battle. The aliens, the humans, the fire, the screams, and he nodded. Then let's finish this. He flew toward the hive queen. She saw him coming and screamed, sending a wave of black energy from her chest. Ryan dodged left, then right, then flew through it. He hit her hard in the chest, blasting through armor, diving straight into her body. She roared in pain and tried to crush him, but he was already past her. Down into the hive. The tunnels were alive. Walls moved. Eyes watched. Hands reached out from the shadows. But Ryan didn't stop. He pushed deeper, flying through tight spaces, shooting anything that moved. His body burned, but he didn't slow down. He followed the signal from the cube, down and down, until he reached a giant chamber glowing red. The heart of the swarm. It pulsed like a beating organ. It was made of flesh, metal, and dark light. Faces pushed out from its skin, human, alien, twisted and wrong. Ryan landed in front of it. The cube floated higher. Are you sure? It asked. Ryan thought of the people he'd seen in the pods. The soldiers fighting above. The aliens begging for help. Earth. He took a deep breath. Yeah, he said. Let humanity answer this once and for all. The cube exploded in light. Energy wrapped around Ryan, lifting him into the air. His armor cracked. His eyes glowed. His voice echoed through the tunnels like thunder. I'm human, he said. We don't run. We don't kneel. We don't stop. He smiled. We end things. And then everything went white. On the surface, the hive queen froze. She screamed. Once, long and loud, then burst into black dust. The swarm all around the city collapsed. The flyers dropped from the sky. The crawlers twitched and melted. The monsters howled, then went silent. One by one, they all died. The humans looked around. No more enemies. Just silence. Velshar fell to his knees. The alien warriors cried. The city had survived. Earth's ships hovered above, scanning the land. No more signals. No more threats. Just peace. But Ryan was gone. The cube's voice echoed one last time from the sky. Sacrifice complete. Enemy destroyed. Human ... remembered. A single burst of blue light rose from the earth and disappeared into the stars. Weeks later, Earth built a monument on Varix 9. It showed Ryan Holt standing tall, holding the cube, looking up at the sky. At the bottom, one line was carved in stone. They begged for help. Humanity answered.